After graduating from St. Bonaventure in 2010, you had a professional career overseas that took you all over the world, including Asia, South America, Europe. Which of these places did you find most challenging to transition to?
Well, it was a blessing. I lived in France, China. I lived all over the world. I say every place was a hard transition for me because I was always battling. I really wanted to make it to the NBA. I know, like I said, I didn't play the way I was supposed to play to make it to the NBA, but I really wanted to play in the NBA. So when I went to these places, I weren't really as focused as I was in college. So I went to these places not really giving 100%. So I'm going to these places not admiring the food, not admiring that I'm living in France for free, sponsored by Audi, or living in China, or living in Russia, you know what I mean? So at that time, I wasn't really admiring all these things because my main goal was always the NBA. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my life. I didn't take the time to admire the steps. So if you're trying to reach a certain type of place, of course, think about that place, but don't let it consume your mind that you don't think about the place that you're in and admire the place you're in, because sometimes you'll set yourself back. And I think that's what I was doing in my pro career. I played pro for 7 years, but I didn't reach my full potential because I was always trying to, think about the NBA instead of thinking about where I was.
We're at a point now where international basketball leagues are huge. When you were playing overseas, were there any observations you were able to make about the differences between basketball culture here and in different countries?
Yeah, I truly believe that overseas they do a great job of, I want to say, not babying the players. I feel like sometimes in America we do a bad job with our players, with pampering them a little bit. I feel like overseas it's a way better job of pushing a player to the next level, not just in basketball but in life. One of my clients, his name is Sabonis. He plays for the Sacramento Kings, and it was a few times that I was training him. I was trying to do all these things to get under his skin. So, like, for instance, if I'm training Jalen or Bobby Portis or, let's say, Grayson Allen, I might do little things where if I'm guarding them, I might rip their shorts off. I might rip their jersey, or I might foul them on purpose to see if they want to fight me. But I'm doing that to try to push their mental. So when I was training Sabonis, I was doing everything known to man, and this guy would not be bothered. And it was just a prime example of just his upbringing for where he comes from and stuff of that nature. And I believe that, and that's what we're pushing more with Nike athletes in America. We're trying to push them and make them uncomfortable to understand if you want to be great, you have to get pushed to a level that, it's going to be uncomfortable. And I feel like overseas, the uncomfortability is at a high, but it's pushing you for the greatness for the future.
And you just mentioned mental resilience. You've opened up in past interviews about battling knee injuries throughout your career and experiencing a lung collapse during your career overseas. How have these setbacks affected your mentality towards coaching and the importance of resilience?
Yeah, so I wasn't lucky, man. So every time I felt like I was going to get over that hump, a small story is one of my coaches, his name is Craig Hodges. He's one of the best shooters of all time. He's one of my mentors. He's the reason why I broke the three-point record on ESPN. It's called Run the Racks. I broke it with Red Bull because he was helping me and mentoring me towards that. So long story short, I was playing overseas. Craig Hodges at the time was the D-League coach for the Knicks. So he calls me, hey, I got a spot for you. If you come here for like 6 games, I know I'm going to be able to get you to the Knicks. I already showed them your film. You just need to play in the D-League for a little bit. So I go play my next game when I'm overseas. I get poked in the eye. I'm blind for like 3 months. So I'm like, fuck, nothing's going great for me. So another example, like you're saying, I was in South America. I get a call to come back to play in the D-League. The next day, my lung collapsed. You know what I mean? I couldn't move my legs. I was shut down for like 4 months. It's called pulmonary edema. It was probably one of the worst moments of my life. But the one thing I noticed through all the trials and tribulations that I had with injuries, with my knee, I had knee surgery before, with my MCL, it was definitely molding me to become who I am today. And I feel like in society, sometimes we beat ourselves up so much when mistakes or setbacks happen that we don't think we're going to make it to that next level. But sometimes that setback is molding you, so when you get to the greater place, you're ready for it. And that's why I'm prepared for all the success that I have right now, because all the failure that I've had in life. And online, people see all these great things, but they don't know my entire life. I've been failing my whole life until the last 8 years. I'm 38 years old, so that tells you how many times I've been failing.
So something we talked about earlier in this conversation was the way the game has changed offensively. So after your recovery, you transitioned your career ultimately from playing to coaching. And in your documentary with Red Bull, you specifically discussed how the NBA style of play trending towards three-point shooting in the early 2010s created a need for players to adapt their games. How did these shifts in the dynamic of the game coincide with your pivot into coaching?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think if the NBA wouldn't have shifted to just, and remember, my training is not just three-point shots. Three-point shots is for social media. So I know on social media, people just want to see people shoot long shots and shoot three-point shots. But my training, if I'm training at Grayson Island, we might not take a three until like the end of the workout. Because to master anything, you don't shoot far, you start in close. So my entire workout is the mid-range jump shot, form shooting, and mastering inside the three-point jump shot, inside the three-point line, just to make that clear to everybody. But yes, when the NBA transitioned to the three-point jump shot, that's what I think I got my break. Because I think I became more valuable to the NBA, because I am signed to the NBA now, not as a player, but as an influencer. I became more valuable to brands. I became more valuable to companies to be able to push me because, if they can't get a Steph Curry, I mean, shoot, let's go with lethal shooter. That's not a bad thing to have. So I feel like by the NBA and the world transitioning to three-point jump shots being cool, it was helping me take my brand to the next level. And that's when I started doing content, on social media to show how good my shooting was, to show I can make 70 NBA threes in a row. I can break world records. I'm not doing it in the NBA game, but I can do the same thing as an NBA player when needed for companies and stuff like that. So for that transition to happen, I mean, if it wouldn't have happened, I don't think I'd be sitting here with you guys.
And you mentioned your coaching career kind of starting with that social media presence. Before consulting for NBA, WNBA, and celebrity clients, you started an Instagram account, which has since accumulated 2.6 million followers. And one of your earliest posts were you practicing jab steps in a blizzard. So what does the creative process for some of these out-of-the-box videos look like?
Yeah, so that blizzard video, I was actually playing professionally in Canada, and this is the real deal. So when I was playing professionally overseas, the money isn't great for some leagues I was in. So in France, of course, you're making like $400,000. In China, you're making like $500,000. In Russia, same amount. But in leagues like Canada, shoot, you might make like $10,000 a month, So I was like, look, this is not going to help me get to where I want to get for what I need to do. So I was like, I need to think out of the box because this is the transition that social media was taking. So I asked one of my teammates, and this is full blown. It's called Moncton, New Brunswick. It's in Canada. It's known for blizzards. Like the blizzards are insane, right? So it's a blizzard outside, and I asked my roommate, like, yo, bro, like, I'm gonna go outside and do a video of jab stepping in the blizzard just to show people how much I love the game. So he's like, man, you ain't about to do that. So he puts on his winter jacket. I go outside for like 10 minutes, and I'm form shooting. I'm doing my jab step, but I didn't think, I'm just showing people how much I love the game because where I come from, when it rained outside, growing up in the hood where I come from, we're going to shoot outside. If it snowed, we shooting outside. Weather or nothing stops where I'm from because we're trying to make it out of our situation. And that's what I try to show my brand. And that was one of my first viral moments, you know what I mean? And to use my brand to think out of the box is what's making me who I am today. You know what I mean? So I've been blessed to shoot underwater. I've been blessed to go to Japan to be the first man to shoot against a robot. I've been blessed with Red Bull to be the first person to ever shoot in front of the pyramids. And these are ideas that I thought of because I'm thinking out of the box. And if you want to change the world, you want to be somebody that, when you die, people are going to still remember your name. You can't be like everybody else, And the one thing I noticed too, and I just said this on Fox Sports 3 days ago, when I first started as a trainer, all the top NBA teams, all the top NBA trainers would make fun of me because okay, I'm training a Bobby Portis, but on the back end, I'm shooting underwater, or I'm the first person to ever make a paper ball through a straw at 6 feet, and I'm doing fun, insane content, but my comrades were making fun of me saying I was a fraud. And you know what I did? I kept moving forward. I kept pushing myself to show these dudes I'm not a fraud, not to prove them right, but to show them, the negative vibes don't really affect me. Because usually when you're doing something and people see your greatness, they're going to make fun of you. Now, this day, those same people try to be my friends. Hey, man, I'm proud of you. I love what you're doing. But these are the same people that were making fun of me. So to circle back to what you were saying is, if you want to be great, especially in the world that we live in today, you can't do the same thing that everybody's doing. So in my field, as a trainer that's walking into the Celtics facility, walking into the Kings facility, last week I was with the Nuggets, I don't care. If I want to like today, I just did content at Meta, right? It comes out on Tuesday. I was riding on the bike through campus and I was making jump shots on rims. So if I want to do that, I'm going to do that because it doesn't take away from who I am as a trainer. When it's time for me to train, I'm not thinking about the pyramid. I'm not thinking about basketball. I'm thinking about my client, if that makes sense. So if you want to think out of the box and people making fun of you, continue to think out of the box because that's what the most creative people in the world do.
So you started the Instagram account, you started posting videos. When did your social media presence convert into getting calls to be trained, like to have you train people and have you train clients?
Yeah, God is good. So my entire life, like I said, I've always been able to shoot. This is something that a lot of people don't know. Growing up in the DC area, it was tough times for me. So at one point I was like homeless, like sleeping in my Magnum. I was messed up. So rest in peace to Coach John Thompson. I don't know if anybody knows he is. He's like a living legend coach at Georgetown. So I used to go up there to hoop, you know what I mean? And he knew me since I was a kid because I was blessed to have a scholarship at Georgetown. So he was like, yo, we're going to bring you in as a shooting coach. So at the time, I'm like, look, man, I ain't trying to do all that. You know what I mean? That's stupid, man. Like, I'm trying to be a pro. You know what I mean? And he's like, no, we want to bring you in as a shooting coach. We want to test you out on one of our players. He's about to go play for the youth team, USA team. We just help him out, see how it works. So this guy goes on and kills. He wins a gold medal. And then I was like, wait, he might be on to something. You know, I didn't take the Georgetown job because I didn't want to be boxed in. But from there, I was blessed to get one of my first clients. At the time, he played for the Knicks. So when I went to train him, he posted a video. So all these other NBA players are saying, like, hold up, this guy has never shot like this in his life. This dude right here is teaching him. And that's when I was able to get one of my first mega all-stars. So I went to him. His shooting percentages go up insanely. And then, God is good. It's been no looking back. I've been able to I've been blessed to train some of the biggest names in the game right now. And doing that with, believing in myself.
And that clientele, as you kind of mentioned, grew to include big names from the NBA, Dwight Howard, Jaylen Brown, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and many more. How did you initially attract clientele from the NBA? What was like the first client?
So my first client, actually, his name was Kevin Seraphin. So he's one of the best French players of all time. At the time, he was playing for the Knicks. So at the time, Phil Jackson told him, if he don't get a jump shot, you can't be here. Because that's when the NBA was starting to take that turn as big men being able to shoot the basketball. So I go to France. I'm living with him for a whole summer. And as I'm living with him, he tells me, remember, this guy, since he was a kid, he's played on the French national team, blah, blah, blah. He goes, man, you're the best shooting coach I've ever had in my life. So at the time, and don't do this either. So he tells me, when he told me that, I was like, come on, man. Like, because it's hard for me to take positive feedback on what I do. But sometimes it's okay for people to tell you you're doing a good job or you are the best. So when he told me that, I didn't believe him. So I went to my next client, which I was blessed to have, Dwight Howard. And at the time, he couldn't shoot free throws. And when I was with him, it was the highest free throw percentage he ever shot ever when I was with him. So from there, he tells me, bro, I've never had somebody like you in my life. And that's what led to, every single client that I was with full time, shooting percentage went up. Bobby Portis, Grayson Allen. The time I was with Grant Williams. And remember, people like Grant Williams, he probably took 3 threes his entire college career. And then when I got to him, I think he finished like top 7 in the NBA the year that I was with him. And I'm proving to people that even if you're getting older, you can learn new things. My client right now, Grayson Allen, is #1 in 3-point percentage in the NBA. He's always been a shooter his whole life, But how come he was never number one? I'm not trying to say it's because it's the teaching of me, but it's a certain type of teaching that I do to push you that's very, very uncomfortable, and you dislike me. But when you get out in the game, the only person that can break you is yourself. So to be able to train all these type of people from that humble beginning, I mean, it's a dream come true. You know, I've trained Anthony Davis, I've trained Giannis, I've trained Bobby Portis. I mean, the list goes on, you know, and to be where I'm at right now and to be able to affect the game in that type of way, especially in women's basketball. You know, Candace Parker, Skylar Diggins. When I had Skylar Diggins, it was the best three-point, free throw, and field goal percentage she ever shot in her career. She's one of the best basketball players of all time on that side. So to be able to do these things and to prove when you train with me consistently, this is what happens. And I've never had a client train with me consistent and then their shooting percentage go down ever, because it's the type of stimulation that I'm able to do. Because if I was to train 5 people at this table, I don't train everybody the same. Everybody has a different upbringing. Everybody has a different way of learning. And everybody understands a certain type of way. And that's what I feel professors should do. If you think somebody in the class isn't learning a certain way, you have to change sometimes your learning for that person. That's what I'm able to do. I'm able to teach somebody who might not know how to be a listener. I'm able to teach somebody who might have bad ADHD. Because yes, professional players do have ADHD. Professional players do have a hard time sometimes focusing. And it's my job. I don't care. If it's 17,000 people in there, you have a bad time focusing, I don't give a fuck. When it's time to shoot, you better focus. You know what I mean? But in the spaces they're in, a lot of people are scared to talk to them. And I'm not scared to talk to a person respectfully, to let them know, if you want to train with me, this is the type of teaching I'm going to do to take you to the next level.
Something you discussed before was that people didn't take you as a trainer seriously because of your social media presence. Was there a point in time that you felt you started being taken more seriously, you started having more respect? Was there a client or was there a moment in your career that you felt that the perception of you turned around?
I say the biggest moment for that, remember, I always have confidence in myself, and I'm strictly a businessman. So if I walked in here and this whole table right here had a group chat saying how bad of a shooting coach I am, and I saw that group chat, I'll still greet them. So when I say, you know, I was down, I'm not saying down that I'm like, you know, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm just down because it's like I know how good I am, if that makes sense. So long story short, my biggest moment was when right now he's the GM for the Mavericks. His name's Nico, okay? They hit me up and they said, we want to bring you into the academy to teach. So I'm like, oh, all right. Like, all right, I've never been there. So I'm like, all right, cool. But I walk in there, it's everybody, you know, John Lucas, whoever the creme de la creme of coaches are, they're in there. So they say, we're going to give you your own segment. We're going to shut the whole camp down. We want you to shoot in front of all the campers, and we want you to teach the art of shooting to the whole academy. So I'm like, shit, all right, cool. Because I've been molding myself, and I'm ready for these moments. You don't just get these moments and think, you know, I'm going to be great. No, to be great, you got to put in the work to be great. So I wasn't afraid. So I go in there, I shoot. I'm teaching the art of shooting for 6 days, and I get like 12 NBA offers because at the academy, the entire GMs and all of the scouts are there to see all the top college players. So after that, I'm like, wow, I kind of know what I'm doing. And then that next year, that's when Nike offered me the position to be the director. And that was probably one of my biggest moments in my life because, yes, I'm not proving to them how good, I know how good I am. It's just I want them to know respectfully, like, you know, humbly saying this, you know, don't mess with me, because when somebody makes me feel that they think I can't do it, I'm going to prove to them that I can, and in the long run, I'm always going to get the last laugh.
So you referenced partnerships with Nike, you just referenced one about Meta, and you've also had partnerships with Red Bull and Google. How have these partnerships elevated the Lethal Shooter brand?
Yo, like I always say before I say this, it's a dream come true. You know what I mean? To have Red Bull have me a part of F1, you know, sending me to Dubai, sending me to Japan, you know, sending me to Egypt. I mean, where I come from, like, this is it's like a dream. It's like somebody can hit me in the head with a hammer and I'll wake up and be back in my neighborhood. That's how fake this feels. But, you know, when God has a plan for your life and you're consistent, you know, a lot of things are possible, you know, and to be signed to Google and to be the face of their commercials with Drewski right now. I mean, I never would thought that, to be a meta partner, you know, signed to Continental Tire. You know what I mean? I don't drive cars. I mean, I drive a car, but I'm not a NASCAR driver. You know what I mean? I'm the face of their content right now. Me and Richard Jefferson just did content at University of Arizona. We're doing a 3-part series for Continental Tire, and I've been with them for 4 years. So to partner with companies shows just the hard work that I put in. So because these are not just low-grade companies. You know, I have my first Jordan shoe. I'm the first trainer ever to have 2 series Jordan shoes. And these are companies that normally don't give trainers these type of things. You know what I mean? And to have these companies believe in me just shows that, you know, my entire life I always knew who I was going to be. And for these companies now to see what I'm doing, I mean, it's just a dream come true. Oh, thanks.
As you mentioned, you were the first trainer to receive your own exclusive version of 2 Jordan shoes.
Yeah.
You recently unveiled these player edition shoes in collaboration with Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Can you share how this partnership came to be and what the kind of design process was like?
So this is crazy. So, man, I was out, like I said, like, I know it's kids in here, but I was effed up. When I say effed up, bro, like, I would send like 300 emails a day. So like, if I emailed him and he worked for Under Armour, oh, you're gonna see it. Like I was emailing, I would set alarms. I would email at 1, 1:32, 2:33. So I emailed Jordan Brand, I wanna say, probably like 100 times, bro. I got more than 100. So I was, and I can pull it up. I have it. So I was sending people, and this is real. I mean, this is not a lie. Don't always think something is for money. It's a lot of stuff that I do for free, even like this. I'm not being paid for this. I was telling the brands like, yo, I'm willing to work. I'll work for free for 2 months. I'll work for free for 3 months. Just get me in the building. I'll show you guys why I'm the best of the best. So Jumpman replied. So they hit me up and they was like, yo, come to New York. We want to see how good you are. So I went to New York and I did some stuff for them. And I want to say that was like 7 years ago. And then it led to me, you know, I'm humbly saying this, to being like a face of Jordan Brand. Like every big thing they have now, I'm a face of them. And to have shoes with them is a blessing. So it just shows, you know, if you believe in something and you really understand that you're dedicated to it, you know, you're willing to do whatever it takes. I mean, I'm willing to, if I know, I'm not being funny right now, if I know that Denzel Washington is in the next room over and I have to sit outside for 5 days, I'm going to sit outside to meet Denzel. You know what I mean? So, but that's how hungry I am towards my goal. And I feel like we live in a society now that everybody just wants instant gratification because social media has watered down the essence of work. It has watered down the essence of consistency. And it's watered down the essence of failure. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to, if somebody, I'm not trying to tell you to be crazy. Don't go knocking at somebody's door and get arrested. But I'm saying, if you really believe in yourself, you got to have this crazy psychopath way about yourself to say, I'm going to really get this done and nobody's going to stop me. And that's what I did, man. And Under Armour reached back to me. Jordan Brand reached back to me. Nike, every company, because I wouldn't stop. You know what I mean? And it's a blessing, man.
So we discussed at this point several different dimensions of your career. We just talked about the business aspect. We talked about your social media presence. And we talked about, of course, your relationships with your clients that you train. How, on a day-to-day basis, do you balance these 3 different aspects of your career?
Yeah, it's very important, especially when you have the type of life that I'm living right now. You have to, if you want to be great, you got to be organized. So I have 2 kids. Mia's 5, Madison's 3. So what people don't see is I have to wake up every day at 6:30 in the morning, wake the kids up, help them brush their teeth, wash their face, put their clothes on. With my fiance, take them to school, make sure they have lunch. Be a dad, you know, because if they're down, I got to lift them up. Then right from there, I'm taking meetings all day. This is stuff that people don't see. Then I have to do content. Then I have to study scouting for Nike. Then I have to get on calls, like you're saying, with Google to go over stuff. Like, for instance, on Tuesday, this is crazy. You guys aren't going to believe me, but we posted, but we had to delete it. I have to post content with the Colonel from KFC. So I flew to Canada. And the actor Colonel, which the guy is a clone. This might be him born again. So I've been on calls with KFC so we can present this content again. But this is what people don't see. Every piece of content that I put out I'm not trying to say I'm Spike, but I'm saying I'm the director. Because whatever goes on my platform, I want to have the first, last say-so to whatever goes on my platform. So every call that we're on with brands, I'm the person that talks. So it's not like I'm just waking up, living in my house in LA, just living the life. Like, no, like I'm getting dirty. You know what I mean? Like when I just landed this morning, I went straight to Meta, had 2 meetings, did content for Threads, came back here, took a 30-minute nap, ate, and then came right here. But that's just showing just how hard and how hungry I am for this. Like I was telling you guys, I'm not trying to say to do it to push yourself to death. But if you want something, you're going to do it at a level that's very uncomfortable. And with that being said, with me being organized, you have to prioritize certain things. I'm not trying to tell you don't have fun. I used to go out. I've never drunk in my life or smoked. But I did used to go out back in the day, all right? But now I won't go out. The only time I go out, and I'm not telling you to do this, but if it's not brand related or related to building a friendship with somebody or getting to learn somebody from, or get to understand who that person is, I'm not going out. I'm not one of those people that I'm just trying to be a part of the crowd. Because usually when you're trying to be a part of the crowd, you're being distracted from what your goal is. So everything right now is prioritizing for my family, God, and me just doing whatever I need to do to keep my mind right. Because if you don't, in the space that I am, you can go insane. I'm not trying to say one celebrity, I'm not saying I'm like a super celebrity, but like I see why certain celebrities do lose it, because sometimes if you're not organized, if I get on a plane and he bumps into me, I might say, bro, what the fuck? I might take everything out on him, but by me being lethal shooter, if somebody records me, there it is. Lethal shooter loses his mind. Now, if somebody records me, if I push him on the ground right now and snap on him, and then Red Bull sees that video, what happens to my sponsorship? It's gone. Nike snatches it, Continental, Google, everybody snatches KFC. You know what I mean? They all take their, I mean, it's true. I mean, whoever think, lethal shooter, face of KFC. But they'll snatch all these things. So what I do is, you got to take the time to meditate. I love rap music. I grew up Jeezy, Moneybag's one of my good friends. I listen to Moneybag, but you have to listen to soothing music as well. I listen to a lot of Sade. I listen to a lot of Marvin Gaye. You have to listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of gospel music. I listen to a lot of music that has an orchestra in the back, or opera. Because what it does is, I don't think I'm crazy, but what it does is just relax your mind. And you need those moments when you're trying to be creative, because if you allow that bomb to blow up, it'll be at the wrong time. Yeah.
Some of those rappers you mentioned, you've gotten the opportunity to train and work with. I think it's really interesting that part of your clientele is not only just NBA and WNBA players, but also celebrity clients such as Drake, Bad Bunny, Mark Cuban, the list could go on. What compelled you to begin working with celebrity clientele?
Yeah, so at the time I was just strictly like, I'm NBA, I'm NBA. Like I wasn't thinking out of the box. So the one time, it was like midnight, I'm in Atlanta, and 21 Savage hits me up. Like, yo, bro, I'm trying to get up some shots. I'm like, man, I ain't doing this. So Dwight Howard's like, bro, nah, bro, that's 21 Savage. You need to go pull up. So I go to the gym. True story. I go to the gym. It's like 12:30. So I meet 21 Savage, and I train him. I'm like, dang, this was therapeutic, if that makes sense. So when I train people, it's not just about basketball. When people get to know me, it's like about life, if that makes sense. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach back out to the other entertainers that have reached out to me, because they want to feel like Anthony Davis. They want to feel like a Grayson Allen or Bobby Portis. And I've been taking it from there. I've been blessed, like you said, to train, Moneybag, Drake, Future, Mark Cuban. Just 2 weeks ago, if you know the actor Ron Carlio from Breaking Bad, I trained Wiz Khalifa last week. I know it's crazy, I know, but it's just you would never think that basketball can lead you to all these things. But in life, if you love something and you're passionate about it, it'll have you meet people that you would never think you'll meet in your life, if that makes sense. I never thought growing up that I'll be training Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, hanging out at his house. You get what I'm saying? Hanging out with Machine Gun Kelly at his house. And when I say hanging out with these guys, it's not like I'm walking in, security just walks me to, it's like, no, we're hanging out as friends, because these people know that whatever they say to me, whatever we do is sacred, because I respect their families, I respect with the brands they built. So I'm not one of those type of people. If I'm training, let's say I'm at Drake's house, I'm not gonna be like, "What's good, Instagram? I'm with Drake." No, like when I'm walking through his house, of course I'm like, "God," but it's still you gotta be calm. You gotta be calm. You know what I mean? Like when security's letting you in, it's like, "Yo, what's up, lethal shooter?" You know what I mean? And then I go in, but you can't be starstruck. You can never be starstruck because God is good that these people look at me as some like them, if that makes sense. So usually when they're meeting me, they're like, "Man, it's an honor to meet you, man." It's in my head, I'm like, "Thank you." You know what I mean? I'm happy to meet you. You know what I mean? So it's just a dream come true. I never thought I'd be training all these A-list people. Just yesterday, you saw I trained Trippie Redd. He's a rapper as well. I mean, he has 14 million followers, and he posted me on his page yesterday. And it's just, whoever know? You know what I mean? It's a dream come true.
Pivoting back to that question about balance, do these like abrupt calls from celebrities such as 21 Savage disrupt that balance? Yeah. Does it get really volatile with getting everything in, scheduling things?
Yeah, it does. But I'm lucky to have a fiance that kind of understands. Like if I'm asleep, and a little dirt hits me up, I got to go at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? So a good story is I just had a meeting in Cleveland. So I'm in Cleveland, and Lil Durk hits me up like, "Yo, I want to get up some shots." So I'm like, in my head, damn, I really wanted this guy. So I'm trying to figure out ways to get out of a meeting. Then I had to realize like I gotta organize myself that if that's meant to happen, it's gonna happen again, if that makes sense. So it's mad random, bro. It's like you can open up your phone and then somebody's hitting you that you would never think's hit. Like this is crazy. Like I think his name's Anthony Anderson, the actor. Is that his name? Yeah. Anthony Anderson, that was at Transformers. Is that his name?
Yeah.
He's a Transformers. Yeah. So he was just on Jimmy Fallon's show, right? So I'm like, dang, that dude's pretty cool. And then like 8 hours later, he's DMing me, "Hey man, I've been watching you. I just got back from Africa. Can we shoot next week?" So I'm like, dang. So you know what I mean? But it's just, that's how random these moments are. It's just to have these type of people want me to train them. It's a blessing.
When you train your clients, there's a lot of conventional wisdom about what a shooting technique should look like. And I think you've mentioned before in interviews that you try to give corrective advice rather than overhaul people's shooting techniques. These assumptions of conventional wisdom have especially been challenged by the efficiency of players with unorthodox shooting forms such as LaMelo Ball and Tyrese Halliburton. So as a coach, how do you balance your understanding of effective shooting mechanics with a player's shooting tendencies?
Yeah, it's just the same, like I said, as being a professor. So I'm, if somebody's shooting, I'm not the type that I'm going to do the same philosophy for Grayson that I do for a Danny Green. So what I do is I watch the person and I take them to each spot on the court, and then I'll make a small minor change to see if that works. Then if that works, I'll make another minor change. And if that works, I'll make another minor change. I think the mistake that a lot of people make sometimes as trainers or professors, they try to do everybody the same. So they'll go in, okay, this guy shoots bad, I'm just going to try to tuck his elbow in, and I'm going to try to give him the same footwork, but I don't do that. So what I do is let's do Jaylen Brown, because he went here. So this summer, me and Jaylen, we did Bahrain, we did England, we did Spain. We went all around the world teaching the art of shooting. And the one thing about Jaylen is he can always shoot. You see how he shoots. He's one of the best players in the NBA. He's an NBA All-Star. But the one thing we fix with Jaylen is just sometimes because he's so strong that people don't understand. This guy's a 6'7" built monster. Like he's but he has to play defense. He has to grab rebounds. He has to run the floor. He's not just a shooter. So when you train people like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, which he just switched to defense, let's use somebody else. In today's NBA you got to guard. So what we had to change with him was helping him shoot when he's a little bit tired. So sometimes when he was tired, what would happen was the mechanics would go down. It's just like somebody that's not successful with their books. A lot of people who don't study at night, they're not going to be successful. But the people that can push themselves when they're tired, normally they're great. And that was the biggest thing we pushed with Jaylen. I put him under a lot of duress and made sure when it was time for him to have the same mechanics from the beginning of the workout, he needed to have the same mechanics in the end. And that's where you can test people. You can test. Is that mine? Oh, somebody has a mic?
Sure you don't touch the button right here.
Oh, all right. Oh. It's another mic in here?
Every single
Each of the seats are
each desk has like 5 mics.
Jesus!
It's a very teched out room.
Yeah. All right, so long story short, the thing about Jalen was we was pushing him to be able to score under duress. So if you notice this year, Jalen has been going insane. It's because, the training that we were doing this summer was whatever we start off in the beginning, we got to start off at the end. So, let's do another example. Like a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's always going to have the same form because he's been a shooter his whole life. But the one thing about KCP was we had to change his footwork. His footwork wasn't sharp, if that makes sense. Let's do a Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen had good footwork. He's a dog. He's going to shoot good in the beginning, at the end, but he didn't understand the selections to shoot on the court. So it's always a different type of philosophy for different type of people because everybody has different thighs. Everybody has different calves. Some people have short arms, some people have long arms. So my philosophy just comes when I watch that film and see where to attack, that's where I attack in the workout. And I'm going to make it really gruesome.
So 2 of, I think, the biggest changes in the NBA are, as we've discussed, this demand for shooting, particularly three-point shooting, and also the use of analytics. So in the past decade, technology and data have become more and more important in analyzing the game of basketball. What role, if any, does analytics play in the way you measure your clients' progress?
Yeah, so me, I don't want to be that guy where it's like I'm back in the 80s, but I don't really do the analytic thing. You know what I mean? I'm not really trying to focus on, respectfully, a computer telling me how to do a certain type of training. But I am big on using analytics to know the percentage in a certain area. So in today's NBA, what you guys don't know, a lot of coaches rather shoot the 3 ball than the mid-range jump shot. So coaches would say, if you have a wide open 3 or mid-range, take the 3. But with my clients, I don't say that. And this is what we do. So a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, if you watch him, or Grayson Allen or Jalen, if you notice with them, they're going to take a lot of mid-range jump shots. And if you look at all the creme de la creme scorers in the NBA and WNBA, if you look at a Kevin Durant, he's taking a lot of mid-range jump shots. Devin Booker's taking a lot of mid-range jump shots. But analytics tells everybody what? Take a lot of threes because that's how you can win a game at the long end. But if you look at championships, no team, the Suns tried it under, I forgot the coach. He had Steve Nash, Amar Stoudemire, everybody. They tried to run everybody out the games just shooting threes, but that doesn't work. And analytics was saying to do that. And sometimes, the computers can be right, but sometimes as humans, you have to go with the percentages as well. So with my clients, we're real big on percentages. If you have a wide open 3 and your shooting percentages low that game, take the mid-range jump shot to build confidence. Take the mid-range jump shot to see that ball go through. And then once you have a wide open 3-point jump shot, take that 3-point jump shot. Then you have a coach that'll say, I don't want you to take the mid-range, take the 3. But if you're making it, they can't say anything. But if you're missing it, that's when they can say something. So me, on analytics, I don't really use it as much. The only time I use percentages is just to know what's high and low where the person is shooting from. But in today's analytics, it's a lot of stuff that a lot of trainers use. But for me, it's just, I try to stay away from it.
And for your clients who play in less organized environments, such as a pro basketball game, what do you use to track progress?
Yeah, so let's use who trains consistently? Let's use a Chris Brown. So if Chris Brown is training, of course I'm not at his house filming him. But the next time I'll see him, I'll say, how'd you play against your homies? Hey man, it felt great. I felt like this was wrong. That's da-da-da. And that's how I analyze those type of guys that aren't pros. So somebody like Flea, he might be older and he might be in a rock band, but he really loves the game. He really loves to play basketball. So what I'll do is, hey, after you finish hooping, give me a call. Tell me what didn't feel good so we train. We can fix that. If this didn't feel good, tell me how that felt. This is a funny joke right here. So I don't know if you guys know him, but his name's Kevin Gates. So he's a rapper. He's never played basketball in his life. When I say, but he decided to play in a league. It's called the Crew League. It's a rappers league. So I'm like, all right, this is what you can't do. You can't go out there and try to do things that you can't do. So I taught him how to do things, but to look apart. So a good example is, it's like me. I'm not a billionaire, but I hang around billionaires. I was just with a billionaire in Cleveland. I'm hanging out with billionaires in New York. So I'm able to teach people sometimes that who don't play pro to look a certain type of way. So when somebody's watching them, they say, shit, like they can really play basketball. So another good example is Jennifer Hudson. I know it's crazy, right? So I'm training Jennifer Hudson. We're getting her ready for the NBA All-Star game. She hasn't played basketball in like 15 years. So I said, these are the do's and don'ts. If somebody's coming down the court at you full speed, don't you run in front of them, because if they make a quick move, basketball is quick twitch, you can fall. If somebody's in front of you and they're doing a jab series, I said that means they might know how to play basketball. Just back up. If they shoot, you the second person, jump the ground. You never take a bad shot. So when Jennifer Hudson played on TV, it was prime time. 50 million people or something watching. When people watch Jennifer Hudson, you would have never known she hasn't played basketball so long, because the way that we taught her, she was understanding what she can do and what she can't. She had a lot of shots, but she didn't feel comfortable. She didn't take them. You know what I mean? So when I'm training somebody that's not a pro, it's my job to make them comfortable, and it's my job to make them understand what they can do and what they can't do.
I'm personally wondering if you get like an influx of calls before the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game. Are there a lot of people like hitting you up right before that?
Yeah, like I always say, man, it's a blessing. The NBA, that's why I signed a deal with them where the Celebrity Game, I'm like the trainer for all those people. So this was a blessing. You saw I did some content with Stephen A. Smith. I did some content with Kai Cenat. I did some content with like all the top influencers in the world, because the NBA knows when I'm with these people, I'm not going to mishandle them. Because you have people out here that are in the positions that I am, if somebody does something bad, they will try to post that or expose them. And it's my job to just always make somebody feel comfortable and to just spread more awareness to the game of basketball, because the basketball is such an amazing sport. And I try to use it to just spread the love, and to have, celebrities reach out to me for NBA All-Star. And it's crazy because he's I would say, one of the top Latina rappers in the world. His name's Anuel. And him, Bad Bunny, they're really good friends of mine. And Anuel gets selected. He hits me the next day like, yo, can you fly to Miami? I'm like, I got a family, bro. You know what I mean? But to have those type of people reach out to me to say that is a dream come true. Because last year I did fly to Miami for Anuel. And I flew to Miami for DJ Khaled, which we did content, with him, which was sick. Me and him did an NBA commercial together in Miami. So to be able to, sometimes fly to these people, sometimes they get a little spoiled. You know what I mean? But it's a blessing.
So you talked the whole time about how you've played and trained with a lot of NBA players, WNBA players, celebrities. You've also had the chance to play with a robot. You played against Q6, the world's most advanced AI shooting robot. And with significant advancements in technology and sports science, how do you see the future of basketball training evolving?
Well, of course, I don't want to be that guy where I say this and then in 100 years Terminator's playing basketball. You know what I'm saying? But I don't really think that robots are going to be hooping against humans, okay? I really don't. If somebody makes that, they're advanced. But when I shot against the robot, I was telling this story before, I was nervous, you know what I mean? Because if I lose, it's a bad look because I'm a lethal shooter, you know what I mean? So when I went to Japan, I walked in, it's like, 7 scientists with computers. It was about 150 media behind me for some reason. And every time I shot the ball, they would take pictures. So I'm like, this is a setup. Like, they're trying to make me lose. You know what I mean? So the first round, I lost. I lost really bad. But that's when I started realizing, I need to calm down. Whatever you do, you have to learn how to control your breathing. You have to learn how to control your anxiety. Nobody that's good at something is that, all the greats know how to do that. If you look at Muhammad Ali, if you look at Tiger Woods, when they're in their biggest moments, they know how to control their breathing. So I just started controlling my breathing and just understanding that, hey, I can either beat this robot or I can tie it down because we only have two more steps to go. So we go shoot the NBA three from the top. I beat that round, okay? So when I beat that round, I noticed that I was breathing, I was relaxed. And then we went to the last round, which is, I would say, 1 step across half court. But this is where they put a smaller rim on the rim, and that's when I killed, okay? Because I know how to dilate my eyes to shoot in small holes. So I've shot on the world's smallest rim. So a basketball, I think, is 9.5 inches. I've made probably 10 NBA threes on a 9.7-inch rim. And that's threes. So I know how to like focus to a point that's very uncomfortable, but once it's over, it's like, shit, I don't drink beer, but it's like I need a beer. You know what I mean? But that's how bad I push my brain, you know? I was the first person ever from 6 feet to make a paper ball in a straw. It took 6 months. So those are the things I was thinking about when I shot against the robot. I'm not going to lose. So when they brought the little hole out and I was shooting against the robot, I noticed the scientists couldn't really figure out the rim. But by the time they figured out the little hole, I've already made enough shots to win. So that was just a blessing, you know, to be the first man ever with Red Bull to shoot against a robot. Who ever know? You know what I mean? That I'll be that guy. And, you know, and shout out to everybody in Japan. Like that was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. They let me hang out with the scientists. We all had like an after party, and I was able to pick their brains. Because the one thing about me, you know, I don't want to always hang around a hooper. I don't want to always hang around the athlete. I like to hang around with people who aren't in my field because I want to know what's your why. I want to know what stimulates you to go as hard as you go. And to be around those scientists, they really inspired me to continue to go harder because the same passion that I have for shooting the ball, this is the passion this guy had for that robot that he's built. And it's 6 because they built 6 versions to where that robot is now. And you know, they believed in this person to build this robot for the country.
So reverting back to humans playing basketball. While professional basketball players are recognized individually for their extraordinary skills and athletic prowess, they're also surrounded by a network of coaches, trainers like yourself, and medical staff who work with them daily. How much of a player's success in professional leagues is attributable to the network around them?
Yeah, it's very important. You know, the people around you definitely build who you are. So make sure when you're at events, you're always meeting as many people as you can. Make sure I know you already know this because you're adults, but make sure, you know, you connect with people. You know what I mean? Because that's where I am today. You know, the meeting that I just had in Cleveland, I would have never had that if I wasn't connected to another person. You know, what I'm doing in life right now, I wouldn't be able to do it if I wasn't connected to the network that I'm around. So definitely make sure you're trying to connect to as many people as you want, because you know when celebrities say, you don't need no friends. You know what I mean? You know, fuck friend. No, you need friends. And I'm not trying to say friends that everybody comes to your house. I'm saying friends that, you know, you're doing business with, friends that can connect you. Like a good example is when I wanted to do the content with Wiz Khalifa, I had to reach out to somebody else and then he DM'd me, if that makes sense. So I wanted to do, this is crazy, I know, but I wanted to do some content with Joe Biden. I know, crazy, right? So I reached out to my connect at Fox and they talked to him and we're trying to figure out that. Same with Barack Obama. You know, I wanted to do Barack Obama, so I reached out to somebody and now I'm talking to Barack. So it's just like, you know, make sure you're connecting with a certain type of people, especially as professional athletes. I think sometimes they do a bad job of saying, okay, since I already made it, I'm not going to build. But as an athlete, sometimes you need to make sure you do that because there's life after everything. You know what I mean? If you look at all the top athletes that have done it after sports, Michael Jordan or what LeBron has done, it's not just because of who LeBron is, it's because of the network that he's building around him. So that's very important. And as far as body, that's very important as well. So I tell my clients to try to invest about $500,000 a year in their body, because if you're making $35 million a year, why wouldn't you invest $500,000 a year on your body? You know, and people like Dwight, when I was with Dwight Howard, he would invest like $500,000 on his body. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he invests about $350,000 into his body a year, because it's very important to get the right body work, because if your body isn't working right, the machine isn't going to work right. Same as you. You're not a professional athlete, but make sure you're eating right. Make sure you're getting your rest. Make sure you're doing certain things to make sure your body's right, because if you don't, you're going to fail your tests. You know what I mean? If you don't, you know, you're not going to be successful. So that's very important. That's good you said that.
So currently you work a lot with individual athletes on various teams, various leagues. Recently, you had the opportunity to work with Team USA and train some of their players. So would you ever consider becoming a part of the coaching staff or training staff of a collegiate team, perhaps Cal, or a professional team?
You know, and I always say this, I know, but like, you know, God is good. You know, I get offers every week to be a coach. But right now, I think I'm doing exactly what God wants me to do. Because let's say right now I was on the Buck staff, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys. You know what I mean? If I'm on the Buck staff, you know, next week I wouldn't be able to like do the content I'm about to do for F1. So, you know, to be doing what I'm doing right now is a dream come true, because every meeting that I went in, they tried to tell me, you know, you can't have your brand deals. You know, you can't do the certain type of content because they want to, you know, respectful to the NBA. But, you know, teams want to box you in because I'm not like this. I'm not about to go in the locker room and be like, what's going on? I'm in this joint with AD. I could care less. But let's say I was on, pick an NBA team. Pick any NBA team.
The Knicks.
The Knicks. Okay. If I was on the Knicks staff, how many players do you think has a brand big as mine?
One.
All right, one. So now with that being said, with that one being there, you can't have a product that's not the main product overshine that product. So every meeting that I went in, they'll say, hey, you can't have your brand deals. You can't do shooting videos here. We need you to just be a coach, which I love being a coach, but God didn't put me on earth to just be a coach. Now, I'm not a fool. I'm not going to get signed to the Knicks, right? And be in a shooting facility doing a treadmill video, shooting threes like you've seen on my page, or doing crazy content in that facility. But every meeting that I went in, you know, not saying the Knicks did this, because those are my people. Shout out to Leon Rose and William Wesley, who gave me an offer. But every NBA team that's given me an offer is more just, you know, we just want you to be just a shooting coach. And I'm not just a shooting coach. You know, it's more to me to just being a shooting coach. So, I mean, you know, sorry, I can't take the offer here.
So before we close out this moderated portion, I'd like to ask some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Which will just be some short questions that I'll ask before we move on to the audience Q&A. So for my first question, who was your shooting inspiration growing up?
My shooting inspiration growing up was Ray Allen. I got a crazy story with that. So I am blessed to be signed with Nike, but he's my Steph Curry. So I've always been trying to get to Ray Allen. So one of his best friends hit me up like, yo, Ray Allen saw your world record on ESPN. So I'm like, can I meet him? You know what I mean? So we set it up. I met him, and it was like, I can't even explain how it was when I met him. It was like I was meeting, I don't know. I don't want to say who I want to say, but it was amazing. You know what I mean? But it just shows you, you know, if you're consistent, like I was telling you guys, your gift will have you meet everybody that you ever dreamed of meeting your entire life. So, you know, shout out to Ray Allen. We still talk to this day. We just did some stuff at the Nike headquarters with Kevin Durant. So, you know, it's a dream come true. Ray Allen is definitely my inspiration growing up.
So for my next question, I want to pivot to your celebrity clientele. Okay. So you've worked with a wide range of celebrity clients, as we've talked about. Who has surprised you most with their shooting ability?
Yeah, I say this all the time, you know, all due respect, because I know I'm being recorded right now, but I got to say this. I did this before, and one of my good friends, Michael B. Jordan, hit me up and was like, how dare you not say it was me? So, listen, I'm being honest when I say this. Chris Brown, Michael B. Jordan, 2 Chainz, those guys, they can flat out shoot the basketball. But the person that surprised me, this is the real deal, it was Mark Cuban. Because I was like, there's no way, respectful, because he's a friend of mine. I just talked to him 2 days ago. Respect when I say this. I'm like, there's no way this old dude can shoot. You know what I mean? So he just finished filming Shark Tank. So he came to the gym. This is how locked in this guy was. He had his basketball stuff on, but I was like, bro, you wearing makeup? But I didn't know he came from Shark Tank. And he was like, man, we just finished filming down the street. I was like, oh, you about to wear makeup hooping? You know what I mean? But he took the makeup off and he started training. And I was like, this dude is real deal. So I put him through this one drill that I put, you know, Grayson Allen through, that I put all of my top clients through, but it was taking him just a little bit of second to finish the drill. But he wanted to finish it like the NBA players. And I'm like, bro, chill. You're not an NBA player. I got to go. So it's getting late. So I'm like, Mark, look, you Mark Cuban, but I got to get out of here. He's like, we ain't leaving. Like, I got to finish this drill. So he finished the drill. But to say that, that's why he's a billionaire. That's why he is who he is. Because he's not just doing stuff to do it. When he's doing something, he's trying to perfect it. And that's what inspired me watching Mark. And that's why, you know, we still talk to this day. We're going to shoot again in my gym in a few weeks in Santa Monica. But it's just, it's people like him. When I watched him, this guy has all the money in the world. He didn't finish a drill, but he stayed as long as it took to master that drill. And that's why he is where he is in life, because when he does something, he's not half-assing it.
So I'll ask 2 more questions, and I'll try to choose them wisely. What's your go-to trick shot in horse?
I'm really good at shooting backwards. I'm really, really good. No, like I'm talking like from half court. I could probably make about 4 in a row. No, I mean NBA half court, not like the recreational center. Because I'm gonna tell you the trick. Just line your nose up with the other rim and look at that rim when you shoot it. You have a high percentage chance of making that. That's one of my go-to moves. If I had to do a trick shot when I wanted to beat you in a horse, to shoot really, really far backwards. And the other day I had to test this out because I don't know if you guys seen this, if you follow me, I did a video shooting NBA threes laying down. Did anybody see that video? Alright, I didn't think I could do that. So I did it, I was like, damn, this is pretty easy. So I just saw a video of Vince Carter sitting down on his butt and he shot almost full court. So I went the other day with my interns and I said, I'm going to try to make a 90-foot 4 shot because I've been blessed with Red Bull that I've made the longest shots apart of canyons. So what we do is if I shoot a canyon that's like 170 feet, the thing is with wind, if you put a backspin to it, the wind sometimes will push it further. But if you're shooting in an arena, it's kind of hard. So I tried to make a full court shot, just throwing it, and it went in. And that's the type of stuff that stimulates me to see what I can do next. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
So for my last question, I'd just like to ask, what's next for the Lethal Shooter brand?
I'll say just, being the best person I could be every day. The one thing that I noticed about building a brand, sometimes I wasn't, doing the best with my kids. So, like, I was at home, but I wasn't at home. My brain was, like, I could be hanging out with my daughters, playing with my daughters, but my brain would be thinking about shooting ideas or thinking about the next thing I could do. So I say master being in a moment with my family because that's what's most important. The one thing I noticed, if you want to be great as well, when you're doing something, like right now I'm here with you guys. I'm not thinking about, am I going to get Barack Obama or Joe Biden? So I've learned that when I'm in a moment to be in that moment. So I'll say the next big step is just mastering, being in a moment. You know what I mean? And when you do that, the world's yours. You're gonna do some amazing stuff. But if you're doing stuff and you're just thinking about all these other things, you're not gonna master what you're doing at that time. So hopefully next year at this time, my brand is bigger. I'm doing bigger things because I've mastered when I'm doing something, just staying in that moment, that time.
So with that, I'd like to thank you so much for coming. So now we'll move on to our audience Q&A. So if you have any questions, just please raise your hand and I'll call on you. I think I saw you in the back with the plaid shirt first.
Oh, me? Have you ever played basketball with Adam Sandler?
Yeah, so I don't want to keep saying the same stuff, but like, God is good, man. So Adam Sandler team hits me up, and no, this is real deal. Do you want to be in the movie Hustle? So I'm like, damn, yeah. So I go to the set, and when you're on set, the way it works is, we're all doing our stuff, but the main people, they don't come for as long as us, if that makes sense. So I'm like, man, I hope when I meet this dude, he's gonna know who I am. So when I meet him, he's like, yo, Lethal Shooter. So I'm like, man, Adam Sandler knows who I am. So on set, me and the professor, we were able to train Adam Sandler in between shots. And let me tell you something. The product that Adam Sandler is putting out with basketball, that's not just for social media. This dude is real live, ball is life. So in between each set that he wasn't filming, or he likes to eat fruit for what I saw, or editing, he was playing basketball. So definitely shout out to Adam Sandler. Like, he really loves the game. Are you like a paid actor or something? How'd you know that? You knew that?
No, it's just because I see on social media.
Yeah. So, Adam Sandler loves the game, man. Adam Sandler. And you want to hear something crazy? This is nuts. When I was coming here today, what's that? The actor that was in Waterboy, the coach, Henry Winkler. This is crazy. So I'm asleep, right? This is today. I'm asleep. This dude wakes me up. And he's like, nice green Jordan fit. So I'm like, yeah, thanks. And it was that guy, the dude that was with Adam Sandler. So I'm like, yo, what are you? So it's just a crazy world we live in. Sorry, I had to say that.
Yeah, go ahead and
What's up, Chris? My name's Pete. Been following you for a minute, like since a kid. Really been inspired, by your videos. Been told my whole life my shot is broke. You should watch you. But I think like something really special that I've noticed, just coming up is like the way the game can be used to really inspire the youth. So I'd love to hear like in your experience at the highest level, what those differences have been from what you received to coming up in the game and then now at the level you're at, how that changes just in terms of impact you can have on others, especially the youth.
Yeah, it's very important. Like I said, man, if you guys go watch my documentary, it's on Apple TV and Red Bull TV. So, like, I was lucky. Out of all my brothers and sisters, like, I was the lucky one to get out of my house. You know what I mean? Because growing up, unfortunately, my mom and dad, in the 80s, in D.C., it was a crack epidemic. So I was lucky to get out of a situation that my brothers and sisters didn't get out of. So the reason why I am who I am today is because of the youth programs that I was in. And I was blessed to be a part of certain people that I didn't have money, but they taught me how to play baseball. They taught me how to bowl. They taught me how to do certain things. And my parents that raised me, Jeffrey and Stephanie, they did a good job of putting me around people that believed in me since a young age. And it's very important, like you're saying, it doesn't matter how big you get in life. You have to go back and touch the youth. So where I come from, God is good. I signed a 3-year deal with PlayStation. So I told PlayStation, like, this is cool and all, I really need the money, but can you guys just put a game room in my rec? Because right now in the Washington, D.C. area, it's like the highest murder rates in the world, you know what I mean? Because, it's not much going on in D.C., but, selling drugs, killing people, it's not a lot going on. But that's how I grew up, and I know how to fit in that type of situation. So, like, I can be sitting here with you guys, but I do know how to protect myself when, the way I need to protect in situations when things are going a certain way. So I use brands to go back to touch the youth. I've been blessed with Red Bull to go renovate 4 basketball courts in the DC area. Every year we go back and give out turkeys. For the last 3 years, we've done backpack giveaways, free haircuts. We've been blessed to give away 5 scholarships this year alone. I've been blessed with Nike. Which is a blessing because when you sign with Nike, of course you get money, but you get product. So I've been blessed to sponsor 5 high schools from my area that didn't have sponsors because I was blessed. My high school that we played on, we were getting all the money, all the sponsorships, but all the communities that I've lived in, the basketball teams weren't good. So I sponsored those communities. One of my neighborhood recs, they didn't have shoes this year. I sponsored the whole team. I sponsored all the coaches. There's kids in my neighborhood. When they get good grades, I send them stuff, but I'm not posting it because everything's not about a post, if that makes sense. But I'm able to use the brands that believe in me to affect my community. And I feel like if more people who get to the top reach back to do that, I feel like the world would be a better place. You know what I mean? And I'm able to do those type of things. So it's a blessing. And that's really a good question. You can't make it to a certain place and forget about your roots. Now, let's say you didn't come out of where I came from. A place where, like the ghetto, quote unquote. You still need to go back and touch the youth because the way the world is right now, the youth need us really bad. And like you say, if you follow my platform, I can use my platform for the negative. But if you notice on my platform, I'm not trying to scam people. I'm not trying to get money out of people. Everything I do is for free. Now, I have an app coming out. I'll probably charge probably a few dollars because, apps cost like $300,000. I got to get my money back. But if you notice, every community outreach that I've done is always for free for the youth. You know what I mean? Because it's important to continue to give back. And I'm not just giving back in America. Every time the time I went to Japan, I did stuff for the youth. When I went to Indonesia, I give back to the youth. I'm going to, for F1, they're going to send me to Monaco, I think in May, So I told them, yeah, this is cool. I want to hang out with the big dogs, but send me to the trenches as well so we can do something for about 100 kids for about 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So that's very important. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead in the black shirt.
in your opinion, what's the biggest problem that technology and AI can solve in sports today?
What can it solve?
Yeah, what can it solve? Yeah, exactly.
I think AI right now. How do I explain it? And I just left Meta. So, how do I explain this? So, I think personally it kind of takes the fun away from humans, if that makes sense. Now, if I'm a company and I need the AI to respond to an email, I think that's different. You know, like, am I making sense?
I mean, in sports such as injury prevention or like getting athletes stronger, that sort of
I think that's very important because I've been with clients where we went to Germany, we went to different countries in Europe where they use certain type of technology that's helped the client exceed to the next level to help them. So I think in that way, it's great. But I feel like what's going on outside of like stuff like that, I truly believe it's weird when we have like so many AI generated things on social that are misleading people, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like AI shouldn't be used that if I wanted to go to his page to say negative things, that I could send 10,000 bots to his page to say he's an asshole. You know what I mean? But when AI is used for the positive, like you're saying, it's true, man. It really works because with Red Bull, when I was breaking the world record a year and a half ago for ESPN, my body was shutting down. So they sent this guy over, I forgot what country he was from, but he had me like do all this stuff with stuff connected to me. And then he was telling me exactly why my body was doing what it was doing. So what he did was he fixed those areas. But if he wasn't using that type of technology, we wouldn't have never known why my body was shutting down. And I feel like if it's being used in that type of way, I think it's very important. I think the world needs it. And I think too as well, it shouldn't just be used for people with a lot of money. It should be used for people, it should be accessible to everyone, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because I notice every time that it's being used is for people that I know that have a lot of money. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So for the sake of time, this will be the last audience Q&A. How about you in the back? So
I'm a trainer and a pretty good shooter also, right? So I coach 11 youth basketball. So 2 drills that I should use with my kids.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So right now with EYBL, we just started like a scholastic league to have younger kids because, like, I don't know who said it, but what's going on in Europe right now is the development of their players is you're noticing it. Like when they're coming to the NBA, they're like light years ahead of some of our players. It's because at the grassroots. So what's happening at the young age right now, there's too many kids trying to do things that they shouldn't be doing. So 11-year-old to me shouldn't be trying to come down do a sidestep 3-pointer. You know what I mean? We should go back to teaching fundamentals because my era, and probably like your era, we learned all the fundamentals before we went to that stuff. So I say if you have a group of 11-year-olds, everything should be fundamentals. A lot of form shooting, a lot of workouts should be inside the 3-point line. So if they are working on a sidestep, I think it should be inside the free throw line. And then once that player, boy or girl, shows you that he or she has mastered it, then they can proceed back. And then they should be able to shoot in the game. But if you notice, with a lot of games here, a lot of kids throw the ball. If you don't play basketball, you wouldn't know. But a lot of our kids, they're trying to do stuff like they're 25 years old, so they're building bad muscle memory, if that makes sense. And the one thing about muscle memory, it's real. If you start a bad muscle memory and it starts, it's going to be hard to get it back. So I feel like at 11 years old, all of your training should be form shooting and mastering all the skills inside the 3-point line. And most importantly, I know the parents might not like it, but sometimes, push the kids, that's uncomfortable. Of course, I'm not asking you to, beat the kids up. But I feel like with kids now, we're not like, as soon as a kid says, I want to quit, the coach is down and say, okay, it's okay, just, go ahead and get some water. No, you finish the sprints. And if you don't want to finish the sprints, you're not going to be on a team. And that's the way that we are even with our top players. So if you look at a kid from Kentucky or Duke for Nike, when we're training these kids at Nike headquarters and this kid is acting like he doesn't want to be there, cool, send him home. And then that's when they're like, oh, no, I want to be here. If you want to be here, let's put the work in. And if you notice, that's the turn we're trying to make in American basketball because we have done a bad job of pampering as pampering our elite. And now when the stuff gets hard, they're not doing great. And then you get a guy, let's say Jokic. Jokic comes over here, people are ripping his shirt, people are scratching him up. He's still doing 30, 20, and 20. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't care. And it's just, we need to go back to just, being fundamental and just understanding that sometimes you're not going to be comfortable. If you want to be great, people are going to push you to uncomfortability. So at 11 years old, don't be afraid to make them uncomfortable with the training. Because trust me, when you get to another 11-year-old team that was being pampered, you're going to smash them.
So when you want to train players to be able to shoot while they're tired, you're not going to run sprints and then shoot. What do you do prior to having them shoot to fatigue? Is it push-ups? Is it running?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
What do you do?
Yeah, I wouldn't do push-ups because that can mess up a lot of people's rotator cuffs while training for shooting. But if it was somebody that I felt like that doesn't do a great job of shooting while they're tired, we can use let's use Grayson Allen. So Grayson Allen, our workouts this summer, it sucked. Some of them on my page. I would make him, like you said, Coach. He would run, do a drill, shoot. Run, do a drill, shoot. Run, and then when I feel like he's tired, that's when we'll do spot-up shooting. You get where I'm coming from? And then now, when he doesn't reach a goal, a good example is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He says this on my documentary. One day, so he was shooting 37%, but I'm like, bro, you gotta get this to 42. We need to rise this up. We're not leaving till you make, I think it was 53s in a row. And he's like, man, you got me fucked. I'm like, we ain't leaving, dog. We not. And I seriously, because I was just trying to get him to understand, you can do anything you put your. And I'm not a trainer where I know somebody can't do it. I'm trying to make them do it. I know what to get to and what they can't do, if that makes sense, Coach. So I said, KCP, we're going to sit here and do it till you can't do it. It took him an hour, but he never did that in his life. He made 50 NBA threes in a row while he was tired. And the reason why I did that is to show him when you control your breathing and you control your mind, you can do anything you put your mind to. And that same year, you guys can go look. He was 2 threes away, the championship year in the bubble, from breaking Kobe Bryant's three-point record. 2 threes away in the bubble when he almost broke that record. And it's because the training that he went through. So with certain people, Coach, you can push a certain way. Certain people you can't. So with kids, I noticed with kids now, if I want to push somebody uncomfortable in a kid setting, some kids can't take it when they're around a lot of kids. So I'm not here to beat you down mentally. So if I notice respectfully your parents not doing a good job of giving you confidence, I'm not going to beat you down in front of the entire group. But if you're a kid that can take it in front of the entire group, I'm going to push you. But if you're a kid who can't take it, sometimes I will fall back in a group setting. Now, we're by ourselves. Man, I don't care. The parent, you got to get out. Because we're gonna get this across to this kid. Because if we don't do this now, when your kid goes to school, they're going to quit. When your kid goes to their job, they're going to quit. And we got to learn at the age that you have those kids right now, the foundation starts now.
Thank you, everyone in the audience, for asking your questions. And thank you again, Chris,
for sure.
This conversation.
And in today's society, like I always tell everybody, don't feel like you need to be in a rush to do anything. I'm 38 years old. I know I look young. I'm not 22. So it's just just make sure you prioritize the little things because it's going to lead to the big things. And just make sure, I know you already know this, but don't look at Instagram and think that everything you see is always real. So with that being said, if somebody's always showing the glamorous money and the cars and stuff like that, don't let that be your inspiration. The question, like he said, he does it, for his family. He's doing it to spread awareness, to spread his stuff around the world. That's why you should do what you do. If you do it for those other reasons, you're never going to be successful. So thank you guys for having me.